Good morning, kids. Welcome to our kids' message for the 17th Sunday after Pentecost. Wow, 17 weeks since we celebrated Pentecost. And this morning we're going to hear from, again, Mark's Gospel in chapter 9. And I'll just read that for you here. And so Mark records, "The disciples went from there and passed through Galilee, and Jesus did not want anyone to know, for he was teaching his disciples, saying to them, 'The Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and when he is killed, after 3 days he will rise.' But they did not understand the saying, and were afraid to ask him. And they came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them, 'What were you discussing on the way?' But they kept silent. For on the way they had argued with one another about who was the greatest. Then he sat down and called the 12, and he said to them, 'If anyone would be the first, he must be last of all and servant of all.' And he took a child and put him into the midst of them, and taking him in his arms, he said to them, 'Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me.'" And this is the word of the Lord. We say thanks be to God. As we're listening to all of this, the way that Mark writes and records, he always talks about how Jesus spent that special time with the disciples teaching them. And that's what we heard here. And here as Jesus was teaching them, he was telling them what to expect, that Jesus had come in order to die and then to rise again. But, just like us, sometimes they weren't really listening. Instead, what were they doing? Well, we find out in the next few verses where they were arguing about who was most important. Sort of like, sometimes kids, when I was growing up, kids would argue in the schoolyard, "My dad's bigger than your dad," or "My dad's better than your dad," and all those kinds of things. I'm not sure if that same sort of a thing goes on in the schoolyards nowadays, but sometimes we'll argue about things where we always want to be better. We want to be better and more important and have a better position. And, it's not wrong in the world to work for things that are good and important in order to take care of our families and our kids and those kinds of things when we have families. But when it comes to, the kingdom of God, and that means our life of faith, our spiritual life, we have to look at it very, very differently. Because, when Jesus heard that they were arguing about who would have the better place in God's kingdom, well, Jesus said, "If any one of you would be first, he must be last of all and servant of all." As we hear that, what do you think he means? And I know I can't hear your answers, but it's worth asking and talking about with your families, because being last means that you take care of everybody else first. And so being last, means that, for example, if you're having a meal and you've got guests over, you make sure everybody else has food before you have your food, so that everybody else has the choice to take what is there, so that you're the last one to take. Or to be the servant of all is to be the person that checks on everybody else. And for us, I know we sometimes stumble in that. But as a way of living our faith, that's a very good picture. But then the other side, too, is that who was the greatest servant of all? Well, we might scratch our heads and we might think and wonder, but of course the answer is Jesus. And Jesus came to be the servant for everybody by not only being born as one of us, but then when he died on the cross, all in order to, carry our broken sins and our brokenness so that we can rise with him. That's the wonderful news that we have. But those last few verses too, verse 37, "Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me." Those are important verses, because not only in the way in which we welcome one another and serve one another, that's an important expression of how we live our faith. It points to the way in which we receive Jesus, because, Jesus came in order to carry all of our broken humanity. He took on, that's why he was born as one of us. And so the way that we treat others, he says, is the way that we treat not only him, but then also the way that we treat our Heavenly Father, because Jesus was sent by our Heavenly Father. But the other neat part is about receiving one such child, and he took a little child and put him in the midst of the disciples as they were arguing, saying, who's the most important? Here's the cool thing, because he was reminding the disciples, not only that we look to the smallest of the people to take care of them, to serve them, but here's the other side. Here's the other side. He pointed to how special kids are in God's eyes. God loves you enough to say that the way that we treat little kids is a reflection of how much we actually love Jesus. And that becomes a very important lesson for adults. And I know there's adults listening. And so as we hear these words, how we treat our kids and how we bring them to church and how we serve them by bringing them to learn about Jesus, to grow in faith, is as much an act showing our faith as, well, all the other things that we think we do. And when you think about it, for all of you, it means that Jesus came not only to save adults. I know sometimes we think church is just for adults and for big people. But no, really, Jesus came and he loves us so much that he was not only an adult who died on the cross, but remember, he was born as a little baby, born in Bethlehem. And then he grew up just like you did, all because he loves little babies and you just as much as he loves everybody else. And so as we hear these words, it's a beautiful reminder that yes, you have an important place in God's eyes and in God's love, and that because of that, you're very important in church too. So I want you to take all of those things home and think about that, how much Jesus loves you. And the lesson that he used the little kids there in Jerusalem to teach, or in Capernaum, to teach the rest of the disciples about what really is important in church. All right, as we finish off today, let's pray that prayer that Jesus taught us, where we're reminded that because of Jesus, we can call his Father our Father. So let's say that prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.